All right. Can everybody see my screen okay? I guess we need to decide how necessary this is for launch. Just because we're trying to wrap up the audit today.
Well, I mean, we're going to keep on fixing bugs and stuff as we go.
If we absolutely have to. We can talk about it offline.
Well, Ben's talking about what goes into RC3, right? Or whatever we actually release. We never stop fixing bugs, but there's a difference between that and we release it in the first release.
Correct.
How big a vulnerability was that? Or is that?
Um, it's not 100% clear. So when I was fuzz testing, um, it could make the unmarshalling take up to like there was some case where the actual data payload was relatively small, but it triggered a the data format has a when you have a byte array or an embedded value, there's a length field, and that even if the payload is relatively small, when unmarshalling, if that length field was big, it would pre-allocate an array. And in the fuzz testing, that when it did that, it could take like a second to run if it was trying to allocate a ridiculous amount of memory. So I have not put a lot of work into seeing, is this something that people can directly exploit by sending bad envelopes? But certainly just the bare the bare binary marshalling code, there was definitely it took like a second or two to unmarshal a single payload. So that's
Okay.
orders of magnitude longer than it should be taking. So I haven't
Well, it's
verified if
larger
that's
than
something that somebody
block.
can exploit directly, but it is possible. Or yeah, there is some potential at least.
Okay. Return major block and the specified accounts modified within that block. So changing to creating the API call. The requested function. All right. And then script to be used to add approved staking accounts to the staking system. Type account structure, the URL of the account, URL of the account to be paid rewards, the type of account. If this is a delegate, account it delegates to. Need to sign this entry or sign its hash. The vending group needs to put it in the approved account. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, perfect. And Paul, were there any additional tasks that you've created for staking?
Not yet. I go ahead.
Those two are basically done. I have them
Did
in draft.
you got the block extraction?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're in draft MRs because I didn't go through formatting everything properly. But if you look at them and they are what you want, then they're essentially done.
Okay, I'll look at them.
And how many points do you want to assign to this, Ethan?
3.
All right, very good. Okay, dual mode support to the status API method. populates both the D and fields if the node is running in dual mode. That makes sense. He's detecting if the node is running in dual
Yeah, I
mode.
had received some suggestions from Ethan.
Yep.
I implemented them and created the MR. I think they are ready for review. And
Great.
I'm trying to analyze the bug which you created yesterday.
Okay. Okay. Very
Yeah,
good. So
even
this
on
is
this
in
task, I
review.
received some comments. So I
Yep.
implemented them.
Perfect. That sounds good. And you have the stress test, so we'll do that after we get RC3 working, and then please update. Okay, did that. Do you have any other questions with this task, Justin?
Yeah, I'll message you offline maybe if I find something.
Okay, cool. All right, Paul. So you're working on the simulator, and then I asked you to, when you have time, write a report that outlines the lockup periods, payout periods, all of that fun stuff.
All right, I'll get that today. I worked on last night. I worked on the interface to both the simulator and the actual code to better handle the timestamps. It's complex, but what I was doing to begin with was tracking block numbers, and that's actually annoying and bad for a lot of reasons. So I had it instead pay attention to the block numbers, but track by the timestamps because the timestamps are really how you know where you are relative to the calendar. So anyway, it was a bunch of work to make all the testing more realistic.
Cool. So in terms of a timeline, so if Ethan, your tasks are more or less done for the staking app, and Paul, you're working through yours, is it fair to say end of next week this will all be wrapped up?
Well, probably.
All right.
It could be it could be sooner. I mean, I'm almost at the end of everything I have to actually do. There's a bunch of things I neglected early on, and it's just taking me a while to get them all in there. You know, there's a lot of details like what do you do if there's a stall in the network? You know, how do you start up staking again? And you also have to be able to start up staking from when the protocol's been
snapshot.
running for a long time. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the snapshot. That's more of Ethan's problem. The staking needs to walk through the entire state of staking in order to compute where it is, so it can start continue staking forward. Anyway, a lot of startup stop issues that weren't originally there.
Gotcha.
So
Sounds good. Sander, you're working on the Ledger app. So this looks good. And this is, I guess, tied to the BIP 44 task that Dennis is working on.
Yeah, I managed actually to do it. I need to finish the administration and commit the stuff, but I managed to complete this task today.
Wonderful. Okay, so I don't know if is Dennis on. Oh, Dennis, yeah. So I guess Dennis, if you want to assign Sander a new task.
Yeah. Also,
he already has 3 other tasks assigned. So
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
we can
don't
add
have
those to
access
the
to the Go Ledger repository for the driver. I have some fixes there which I was not allowed to push.
oh, okay. I'll fix the permissions on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll fix that.
Okay.
Why don't I see the other task. You created 3, right, Dennis, for Sander?
Yeah, I think there's actually 4 tasks at least.
Okay. Okay, backlog. All right, I'll figure out why it's not showing up the way I want it to. Cool. So yeah, I guess Dennis, you're working on the bit 484 stuff.
I finished that, so I just made it a pull request, ready to
Okay.
be reviewed, and then doing firmware stuff right now. So hope to have a new cut of the firmware ready at the end of the day.
Cool.
And then with Sanders fixes, we should be able to start pulling data out, or more meaningful data.
Perfect. All right. So, and then RC3, have you and Stuart figured out the some of the issues?
Well, we're getting the DN stall limit issue, and looking at the logs, I don't see anything that stands out of why it stalled. So it's running right now, but it's disabled, the stall limit. So I don't know.
I'll look into it.
Okay. I'm trying to pull some other logs for you too. I lost the BVN2 logs, but I still have some BVN1 logs.
The way it works is the BVN sends out an anchor and it records the sequence number of the last anchor it produces. So if it's produced 5 anchors, then it records that it produced 5. And then the BVN or the DN processes the anchor and creates its own anchor with a receipt for the BVN anchor, and that receipt is tagged with the sequence number of that anchor and some other information. And then it sends it, the DN broadcasts its anchor to everybody, and the BVN says, I received this from the DN, and it has an anchor with sequence number 5, so I'm going to mark that anchor 5 has been acknowledged. So, if it produces 5 and then it gets this receipt back and it says, okay, anchor number 5 has been acknowledged. So if those 2 numbers get out of sync and one of the produced anchors looks like it hasn't been acknowledged by the DN in some number of the BVN's blocks, then that's when it stops itself. So it's possible there's some issue with anchoring, but if synthetic transactions are working, probably not. So there might be some issue with how that recording is happening. But I'll look into it. I just wanted to give you a bit of maybe a little bit less in the dark.
Okay, that sounds good. There's one other thing that I found too that I'll post. Don't know if it's related or not, but
Well, all right. So yeah, why don't you just guys put the when it's launched, just if you could notify me, and then Stuart.
It is launched.
Well, just so that we have all the, I guess I mean more so that the network's stable.
Dennis, since you've disabled the stall limit, is it stable now?
it's running. It took 3 hours before it failed yesterday with the stall, but it is running right now. And Stuart was going to move some stuff to Docker, and I think he had some other questions about how we want to move forward with the configuration. So,
Okay.
I think Jay just turned into a horse.
Oh no.
Is this some kind of filter?
No, this is Jay Smith. He's changed. The state of Jay Smith has changed.
There's some movie where this some crazy billionaire figures out how to turn people into horses. It's kind of disturbing.
Jay, your horse was on mute. We couldn't hear what the horse was saying.
My wife accuses me of horsing around. I don't know what she's talking about. I have 3-year-olds and I have 5-year-olds around my house. Can you tell?
I was gonna say.
I thought
think
that was
we're a
just
little
yours.
close, Jay.
No, I have spaceships, not
Nice.
horses.
All right. Take care.